But we're gonna take a quick pause to like kind of acknowledge. Just speaking of code, just that Bayou he has like an awesome way that he breaks down these 6 ingredients to transform your life. And I call it a recipe. It's definitely a recipe for awesomeness. But instead of baking a cake, you're baking a better version of you. So I know you're gonna have something cool to offer them, and we're gonna put it in the description. Maybe tell them a little bit about what their future self is gonna thank you for.
Oh, okay. So what I do is I help men to, again, this might sound a little bit abstract, to come closer to themselves, so then they
Mhm.
can build their own meaningful life, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a big word. That's a big sign. I'm aware of it. And how I do it is I'm trying to break it down into specific structure, and to do so, to create that meaningful life, i've I've wrote a book, which, just you mentioned, there's this specific ingredients. It's almost like you need this all of these 6 ingredients to create something consciously and proactively, because sometimes life forces you to do so. So, an example: if someone has a near death experience, accident, you know and a lot of times, after they survive those accidents, they start to, like, questioning all of this,
Yeah.
all of their values, right? What is it? Why am I even here? What am I working? If I'm not even able to spend time with my family,
Hmm.
what is it? What am I doing over here? So we go closer to ourselves to answer these difficult questions, because what meaningful life means for me is different than for Marcus, is different than for others, right? And that's the key, to have the clarity and then the courage to build one.
Back to the interview now officially. So let's transition here, Bayou, and those who are continuing to like follow along with us. And I know there's a lot of men that listen to this podcast, and they struggle. You mentioned it earlier, that man struggle, you struggle. Especially to connect with emotions. And how does that usually tie into this whole meaningful life thing?
Hmm. So the role of emotions. First, we need to understand the role of emotions first, the dynamic between thoughts, feelings, and or emotions, and the actions that we are doing. So this triangle is usually on autopilot, right? Because of specific perception that we have through the things that happen to us. We start
Hmm.
thinking in a certain way, and because we think in a certain way, we feel a certain way, and there's a dynamic over there. Sometimes,
Yeah.
because we feel in a certain way, the type of thoughts that we are creating are also aligned with the way we are feeling, and then our actions are colored by those, by the thoughts and by the emotions. Now, the importance of emotions is not that differently. First, we must understand that they influence the thoughts and the actions, number one. And number two, if we feel some type of emotions, how can I regulate my emotions so I can still make a wise action?
Mm.
That means, if I am angry and Marcus, you come and annoy me, and my tendency, I would like to shout to you and maybe curse or do something that's going to be hurtful for you and for me after,
Okay.
just because I am angry. But if I'm aware that I have that anger in me, that I feel that type of feelings and emotions, and I know how to regulate it, I still can make a wise decision towards you,
Yes.
right? And usually, if we don't have that knowledge, if we don't have that awareness, we bring the word awareness back. If we don't have that awareness, we just become a, like it's almost like we say, I can't do anything else. So we are completely steered by our emotions.
Yeah, stuck.
That's on one
Yeah.
spectrum. We are completely steered by our emotions.
Hmm.
On the other spectrum is not better, because on the other spectrum is I will always act happy and positive and helpful to others, even though I am completely destroyed inside. I am super lonely. I am super depressed, but I'm not going to show it outside, and I'm going to suppress all of these emotions.
Hmm.
That's the other side of the spectrum. So, nor being steered, it not being steered by emotion, nor ignoring the emotions, these are not good. These
Right.
are not helpful.
Yeah.
And that's why once we have the ability to become aware and to know what to do with it, we create rooms for emotions, we see them, we acknowledge them. But then again, becoming that CEO of our lives, or we still create that wise decisions as good as possible. We are human, we will always make mistakes, but then
Hmm.
try to learn from every mistakes and just make wiser and wiser and wiser decisions. Now that's why it's extremely important to work on, let's say the word is our emotional intelligence.
Hmm. That really brings it back center too, because the CEO is a perfect analogy, is a perfect uh, picture of what you should be doing with all of these things that's happening within you, and that's coming at you externally as well. And that whole, you on one opposite end of the other. I picture going, oh, do you want to go to the North Pole or do you want to go to the South Pole? But why not just go to the equator?
Correct.
you know and I have been both of those sides, and seeing myself just really, either eventually blow up, because you either can go blow up right away if you, just all the time, or
Mhm.
or if you just, oh, I'm happy, but it's going to be some type of pop. There's going to be some type of moment that happens and say, geez, I really regret it, and you don't know what that regret might be, and you don't want to wait for that regret to happen.